gonna try this primer and see if I can get anything out of it. My dog did eat some of it, who you may hear being a pain in the background because it's irritated that I'm leaving, but it's called Thank Me Later Face Primer Mattifying from Elizabeth Mott. And I was feeling like I wanted to be matte today, so today we're actually going to talk about uh, how you heal your broken heart and move on. And we talked about the rebound and how all of that happens. But today we're really just going to talk about like how it is that you heal. How do you move on? How do you mend your broken heart and not carry baggage into your next relationship? So that's kind of a funny story, and I'm going to try to make this not a gazillion miles long video because I do have somewhere to be fairly quickly. Hold on, let me add some little bit of extra light here. Is that better for you to see me? All right, so I hate that primer always makes my skin look all like nuts, like I've turned a different color. Anyway, so for me, I'll tell you my experience. One of the things I learned after you make your mistakes with running about and essentially being with someone who you shouldn't be, your rebound person. One of the, I'm sorry guys, you're gonna have to listen to him in the back. He's a little nuts. He hates it when I leave. But one of the things I definitely did learn about what I did and didn't want and how to really move on was that I had to learn to be by myself, which is hard because since I was young, I'd always had, not young, but in my 20s, I'd always had a boyfriend. I'd always had someone to be with. I'd always had a girlfriend. I was always with somebody. I wasn't ever really single in the terms of single. I mean, I even had relationships that weren't exclusive, but they also weren't this boy. But they also weren't very, they were still relationships. So it's not like when they ended, it didn't hurt my feelings and it didn't break my heart. You know what I mean? So I'm actually using two foundations, and I kind of ran out of one of my foundations almost, but I'm cheap and I use it to the very, very bottom of the whole thing. So you see what you did? You scared yourself. See? See? Anyway. All right, so now I'm just going to mix all these together. I believe I know that I am using my Born This Way, and I am using a Flawless Fusion Ultra Longwear that I got in a sample, and I like to mix my foundation to make it the color I want it to be. See? And I'm not really worried about my hairline today because as you can see, I'm going to get my hair did. It's going to be fantabulous. And I don't actually go into a whole lot of craziness with getting to my neck because I'm really actually quite careful about making sure my face and neck don't look so different. All right, so the first thing like I was saying, I had to learn to be by myself and I had to learn to love being by myself because that is really, really hard. It is actually one of the hardest things that you can do in your life. Hold on, let me put him somewhere. And it sounds easy, right? Like, oh, I'll just be by myself, blah, blah, blah. But it really isn't. I'm using the Tarte Shape Tape. I still have that. And so I'm going to keep using it until it's empty because I'm a cheap bitch and I'm not about to just like not use it because, they weren't particularly inclusive with their last line. And just in general, I'm not like a huge fan. All right. So I'm going to be using my Real Techniques sponge to blend. So for me, one of the things I started to realize was that I hadn't been by myself. I'd always been with someone. Someone was always there. And I had spent a ridiculous amount of time just kind of allowing everyone else to be the one to dictate my life for a really long time. Just everyone else dictated my life. Everyone else had a say in how things went. And I did allow myself to just consistently and constantly go with that as the rule. You are the boss and I'll just follow, yay. But I started, now that I'm growing up and I am a lot more grown up, especially when it comes to relationships, I had to come to some really strong and harsh conclusions for myself. And one of those was that I had, allowed myself to be rescued all the time, which I spoke about previously. And the other is that I allowed way too many things in a relationship that I would not allow for myself. So what I mean by that is I just allowed a person to, like I said earlier, dictate everything and really control more of my life than I wanted them to control. And it just got old really, really fast for me. For me, I just started looking at everything. I was like, why am I allowing someone else to do all of this? And I'm over here just like, so I had to start learning what I liked and what I enjoyed without being with someone. I had to remember the things that gave me joy, the things that brought me happiness before I ended up in relationships. What were the things that I loved? And that's one of the reasons I'm here now doing makeup and doing videos, because I love being creative. I love being an artist. I love that kind of stuff. And once I realized, like, oh, hello, girl, that's what you like doing, I went forward and started doing that instead of just being like, I don't know. No, I'm just very much like, this is who I am. And, if you don't like any of these things about me, and don't worry, this looks extra crazy with the lighting because I don't have fantastic lighting right now. I'm not a rich bitch either. So I don't have super fantastic lighting. So it always looks like I look like a ghost. But when I take pictures on Instagram and stuff like that, you can look on either one. My Audra Rowdy Girl, it's Audra_Rowdy Girl. Sometimes you'll see it on my Wreckless Medusa page as well. All right, that's done. Let's get this set. Couldn't find my normal setting powder, so I'm just going to use my L'Oreal True Match Super Blendable Powder to just kind of even some things out and not look so ghostly. Make sure that those lines aren't so visible. And as you can see, I have so much stuff in my bathroom. It's bathroom cleaning time. So once I started learning what I liked and what I wanted, the great thing is I also started to stop doing weird things. I also started doing something which some people would be like, say that it's weird or destructive. I found it to be healing. Quick contour with the IBY Highlight and Contour Palette. Makeup always looks weird when you don't have your eyebrows on yet. All right, so for me, I even did something which I said a lot of people thought was maybe destructive or weird. I looked at it as helpful. I started going places where we used to go together by myself. So IHOP that we used to go to that was by our house, when we lived together, I decided to go there. I was like, I'm going to go. Ain't nobody going to stop me. And I really enjoyed it. And it was actually really helpful because I sat down by myself and I remembered the times that we went, and they weren't all bad, which was the interesting part. They weren't all bad times. And that was something that I had to remind myself of. But then I also remembered the bad stuff about it. And so for me, some of the bad stuff about it, to me, if I'm being honest, was instances where I was like, hey, how about we have a meal and you not be on your phone and we just talk to each other? I know this is like technological age, but it'd be great if we could have a conversation. Just like a little one. A little. Go away. But that was the cool thing about it, is I really just started doing a lot more stuff for myself where I was able to just kind of enjoy life more and do things that I normally wouldn't have done, and really just bring myself to this other level where I was no longer depressed and sad and being like, oh, I can't believe it ended. Did I make a mistake? Because like I said in a previous video, you do that. You start rehashing the whole thing and trying to figure out like what mistakes you made. All right, I'm going in with this Steve Laurent blush. I'll show you the actual blush. It's really quite lovely. There we go. And doing these things really helped me, and you have to be really careful with this one because it's really quite rosy, as you can see what I mean. But I tame it down. Because just a little bit of swipe and you're like, hello, you see? But I had to learn all these things about, going to those places actually helped me heal. They helped me to realize certain things that I hadn't wanted to just kind of bring up or think about, especially when I was concerned about the way things were going in my life, and maybe he was right, maybe I was a loser, maybe I wasn't very smart, all those things. I'm going to do my brows. I have no idea where I got this brow pencil from, and I don't know who made it. It's so small and it sucks, but I have to use it because that's all I have right now. But the really cool thing about doing that, like I said, and you may think it's nuts, but I guarantee you, or I wouldn't guarantee you, but I just think that when you do stuff like that, it kind of opens up your eyes to stuff that maybe you didn't see before. And then it allows you to move past it. Because the reality is this, the person that you broke up with, I know this seems really, really harsh, but it'll get less harsh here momentarily. I have to do this one crazy harsh because this one sometimes comes out intense. So that way they match when it's all done a little bit better. Because as you can see, I don't really have eyebrows. And I'm going to be an eyebrow pencil bitch for the rest of my life. I don't like any of the pomades. I've tried most of them, and I'm not a fan. I've gotten some free. I just don't like them. But what you end up finding out is, and getting forward to healing, like I said, the person that you have broken up with, or for most of us, this pain comes from being broken up with, that person's never going to tell you why they broke up with you. They're not going to go through the litany of reasons why they broke up with you. And would you really want them to? Like, let's get real. Who wants someone to just be like, I broke up with you because you slurped your coffee and you did this and I hated this about you. Like, nobody wants to be taken down like that. You just don't want someone bringing you down at every opportunity and explaining to you all the reasons why they don't like you. I think it's interesting that people say that sometimes. Like, I wish he would have told me why. I'm like, do you though, girl? Because I don't think that you do. And the reason I say that, again, nobody wants a laundry list. There's criticism and constructive criticism, but it would be the same as if you were at your job and you were asking them, what you could do to improve, and then they just went in hard to paint and just told you like everything that you were doing completely wrong. And you're just sitting there like, I didn't ask for all that. So that's the thing. A lot of people want to do that. They want to have this magical sit down. Even if you could have that magical sit down, you're not going to want to. And I'm telling you that because I wouldn't want to. Even if you did get the opportunity to have this magical sit down, I'm guaranteeing you that it's going to be a fight. It's going to be an argument. You're going to be yelling. You're going to be fighting with one another. And you're going to be very busy defending yourself and then also pointing out all of their faults, which is not healthy. So I'm going to try to match up my makeup a little bit to my dress. See how that works out. So yeah, you're going to end up arguing and fighting and saying some dumb-ish and defending yourself and just doing all this stuff which doesn't make any sense and doesn't actually give you any healing. Because it really, like, if you could talk to them and ask them why, and they gave you a litany of reasons why they broke up with you, I think you wouldn't be able to change as a person the way that you needed to. You wouldn't be able to look back on the situation in a different light and see it for yourself. You would also be, again, defending yourself, arguing, fighting, battling, instead of actually hearing what the person has to say. And who wants to? Who wants your ex to tell you why you sucked? You know what I mean? Like, who really wants their ex to be like, well, these are all the reasons why you suck? And you're like, thanks. You know what I mean? Nobody's just like, yay, no. you're going to be sitting there just like, oh, okay, I didn't realize. Okay. Especially as they go down the list. Because the reality is, for you to grow as a person, you need to be able to look back on the relationship and look at the things that you did that were harmful, but also look at the things you accepted that were harmful that you really shouldn't have. You can go back and look, and for me, the things that I accepted were unacceptable, and I accepted them anyway, which was dumb on my part. I, I believe I've said this before, was with an addict, and I really wasn't very smart about all of that, and I didn't understand all of that, and I accepted way too much responsibility for his addiction. I think I spent too much time trying to help him and doing all this stuff when at some point I should have just realized I needed to step out. I needed to leave a long, long time ago. And what I did instead was I stayed and I stayed and I stayed and I stayed. And what ended up happening is I lost myself in all of that. And literally, once you lose yourself in a relationship, it's really hard to come back from. It is extraordinarily difficult. So I'm using this brush here. I don't really go through all the brushes I use, but most of them are from BH. So this is a BH brush too. It's either BH or Carity. I have some Morphe brushes, but I don't like them. I said it. I just found my BH brushes are, and the Carity brushes are far softer than the Morphe brushes I have. I have a couple of them that are nice, but the rest of them, I'm just like, you can just kiss it. They're hard and they shed a lot. So I usually end up with the actual stuff from the brush like on my face, and I hate that so, so much. Fiery passion of hatred. And we'll see, you'll see where I'm going with this here shortly. But so I just think that once you get to spend a little bit of time, actually a lot of time with yourself, and getting to know yourself and who you are and what you will accept in life and what you love and who you love, which is you. This is your time to be selfish. And don't let anyone take that from you. I hate it when people say that, well, you're being selfish. Yeah, you know what? You should be. Because when you're in a relationship, sometimes you forget that you should be selfish, which is a lot of the reasons why a lot of us end up breaking up. Because we should have been more selfish at times. We should have been more, you know what, I don't really want to do that. I don't really want to do this. I don't want this. I don't want that. Can we, do this? How about we do that? And we end up heartbroken, and we keep going like that in more than one relationship. It's not just this relationship. And that's the cool thing about learning to be by yourself. Instead of jumping into another relationship, obviously after your rebound, but after you go through all of that, at some point you have to wake up and look around and go, you know what? I've done a lot of crazy things in relationships that I probably shouldn't have done. I allowed myself to go way too far. I allowed this to go too far. I allowed that. I pushed myself into corners and I painted myself into corners. And you don't want to do that again. So you learn from that. And when you're by yourself, you actually have the time to reflect on that, which you don't do if you keep jumping into a relationship. You just don't reflect. You just sit there and you find all these other things to blame situations on. I'm going to be using this Kaleido Cosmetics blush, but I use it as a highlighter. So being by yourself is the key, because you reflect more when you're alone, hanging out with your girlfriends, just doing the stuff that you used to do but forgot about. Because a lot of us in relationships, yes, you have friends, but you get in a relationship and you just kind of forget that you have friends. You get like so overwhelmed. I know that's super bright, but you'll see. But you get so overwhelmed with being in the relationship that you kind of forget about being with your friends. This is a jumbo kabuki fan brush from Crown, which I love this brush. But you really do sort of forget yourself, and you forget your friends. You forget what it was like to have girls' night. Girl, what? You were like, girls' night. Remember when you used to do that all the time? Or for guys, guys' night. You know, when you used to just really hang out and do things besides, you know, be at home, be in your relationship and do all of that. You were actually out doing stuff. And you're like, this is so awesome. And you forgot about it. So it's like, wake up, girl. Get back on that horse. Do the dang thing. I just really feel like being like extra today. I don't know why. I know a lot of people use the highlight as the finish, but I like to be in the middle so I can kind of figure out what I want to do with my eyes. And I'm using the Starlux Pro liquid eyeliner pen. To me too, the best thing about being by yourself is that I found that I was able to spend more time. I'm making kind of this funky little wing. I like it like this. Don't make fun of my wing skills. But I ended up finding that I spent a lot more time enjoying my life again. And it was just nice. All the things that my ex didn't like to do, I did them. And that's something that a lot of us forget, you know. We just kind of forget to enjoy ourselves. So it's like music-wise, all the things my ex didn't like, music-wise, like my metal, I played it loud, you know. I was like, and then I don't know if they're even, and I don't even care. I never really care if my wings are even because I just think to me makeup is not about perfection, it's about fun. You know, I'm not going to be like some superstar one day, and even if I was, I'd be like, be uneven. Plus, one of the reasons mine are uneven is because my eyes are actually two different sizes, and not just sizes, but like shapes almost. So they're both a little almondy, but one's much bigger than the other. So if I make my wings a little uneven, it helps to make my eyes the same size. So pro tip there. That's why I do that. It helps to make my eyes the same size. And notice I don't actually do any pulling on my eye to do my eyeliner because I just think that that's terrible. I know it's terrible. It causes wrinkles. Like when you just keep pulling or doing any of that. Hold on. I have this gorgeous NYX eyeliner that I'm going to use on the bottom because it's like this really pretty bronzy color. And I love it. So yeah, I just started to learn to do all the things that my ex didn't like. I learned to do the things that I liked. I really got very deeply into who I was and am as a person. And I'm still single. I'm still doing the single thing. And I'm actually really enjoying it. I think it's more fun. I'm having more fun. I think because I don't have anyone to be beholden to. I don't have anyone who's telling me what to do all the time. And I'm not pressed. You know what I mean? I'm not pressed about spending my time with somebody, which is nice because I normally have to be so pressed about spending time. And it just becomes like a very frustrating thing in life that for me anyway, maybe I'm just a single forever girl, who knows? But I just didn't like being so pressed all the time. I don't like having my time occupied like that. And it's just nice to not have it. And that might change at some point. But right now, I'm like, psh, I don't want you bothering me. Just leave me alone. You see what I mean? Because they're uneven, like my eyes are like coming to the same size. All right, so mascara, I stand by my faithful Maybelline Great Lash. But yeah, the healing part, the mending of the broken heart, it all has to do with you. And you just spending that time alone and having a great time with yourself, learning who you are, and just getting to a point where you're not in pain and you're not blaming yourself or beating yourself up anymore for things you can't change. You can't go back in time. You know, that's the biggest thing. You cannot go back in time. You cannot go back in time and fix it. You just can't. You know, you can't go back in time and change this about things. Like, I can't go back in time to the day that I was proposed to and say no. You know, I just can't. I can't go back in time and do that, which I know some people are like, girl, that's harsh. But I just wasn't really one to get married, and I probably shouldn't have done that. I just really should not have gone and gotten married. And yes, it lasted a long time, and I can hear him destroying my toilet paper as we speak. Like, as I am talking to you, I can hear Bodog back there just being as destructive as he can. And it's just like, for a lot of you, people go, well, if I could go back in time to the day I met them, I wouldn't. I'm not going to say that. I would never go back and change that, because I wouldn't be who I am today if all of that hadn't happened. If I hadn't have met him, if I hadn't have gone through the trials and tribulations, if I hadn't learned about addiction, if I hadn't spent time understanding and getting to know what someone else goes through, if I hadn't done any of those things, I wouldn't be where I am now. And I'm dipping into my Urban Decay Naked Heat palette right quick for a little inner eye corner action. And I think I'm going between Lumbre and Scorched. So the key to, at the very end of everything, the key to healing yourself is you. The key to mending your broken heart is you. You have to want to do that. And you have to want to spend the time being yourself by yourself. If you don't want to do that, just expect that your next relationship is going to be junk. And I don't mean that. I'm not really trying to hurt your feelings or be harsh, but it will be junk. It will be absolute junk. And the reason it's going to be junk is because you did not spend any time getting to know yourself, what you love, what you don't love. And if you're not going to do that, man, you're just not going to get anywhere. Okay, well, it's fall, so I'm going to use this Maybelline New York lip gloss or something like that. Get in there a little, this like kind of cool purpley color. I don't really use lip liner. I'm not going to hear any shit about it. I just don't like it very much all that often. It's because the way that my lips are, they line themselves, which is weird. And I know it's weird, but it's been like that since I was a kid. So, in conclusion, when you're trying to mend a broken heart, mend yourself. Figure out who you are. Remember who you were before everything went to crap. Remember what your relationship was like. And that's what I come in after. See? Remember what your relationship was like before everything went crappy. Remember what it was like after. Don't sit around beating yourself up for something you can't change. Don't think back like, I wish that I had. Don't try to put any voodoo curses on them. Just move yourself forward. Don't stalk their Facebook pages. Don't stalk their Instagram. Do you. It is time for you to do you. Who cares if they end up with somebody before you? It's not a race. You don't need to be in a race to win that either. So for me, what really helped me move forward is all the things I'm doing now. I moved into my own place finally. I'm so excited about it. And I'm just who I am. I'm who I've always been, but better. So just get out there and be your best self and enjoy yourself. Don't feel like you have to immediately relationship, couple up, and do all that stuff. Do the crying if you need to do the crying. Listen to the music if you need to listen to the music. But do not sit around wallowing in sadness for all eternity over a relationship that's over and done with. It's time for you to get yourself together, find what you like and love, figure out what you will and will not accept in a future relationship. But for now, just enjoy your relationship with yourself. Stay at home, watch movies, go out with your friends, have a great time, enjoy your life. And one very important thing, go out to dinner by yourself. Just do it, just once. Just one time. take yourself to dinner, a nice, lovely dinner. All right, guys, so this is the finished look. I hope you guys like it. I'm not your regular makeup artist type girl, makeup girl. I'm a certified makeup artist, but I'm not your regular one who has to be perfection on the camera and be super awesome and all this kind of stuff. I just like to have fun with makeup, and I like it to be as simple and fun as easy as possible. All right, guys, so I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you like the look, and I will be posting this look for you. I will post it in both places, actually, just to make sure that you can see it. My Instagram for Wreckless Medusa, which is here, and my Instagram for Audra Rowdy Girl, which is here. If you like this video, please consider subscribing, thumbs up, and notifications. All right, guys, this is Audra signing off, saying you can't love somebody else until you love yourself. Bye, guys.